So we're going to start in Matthew 5. Most of us know this because it's the Beatitudes. And I found, as I was studying through it, that growing up, knowing that it was the Beatitudes, I made the misconception that Jesus was talking to the multitudes when he gave these. But it says very specifically in the very first verse that when he saw the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. And the one that stands out to me, especially for us today, is the very last one that he gives us, and it's in verses 11 and 12. And he says, "Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward in heaven is great, for in the same way that they persecuted the prophets who were before you." And so some of you may be wondering how I'm going to tie trust into this. But my question for you is, if God says that you're blessed for being persecuted, do you trust him to take you through that persecution? Do you trust him explicitly with your faith and with your life to be able to take you through the suffering that you're about to experience? A lot of us may think that here we are today, we're suffering, we're putting our lives out on the line as missionaries, as people working for Christ. But when you think about the rest of the world, are you really suffering? You have a car to drive, you have a house to live in, you have a bed to sleep on. All of these are blessings from the Lord. And there are people out there who don't have them. Do you trust God, if he were to take those away, to one day bring them back? So I want to flip over to David's words in the Psalms. We're going to go to Psalm 56. And in Psalm 56, verses 3 and 4, he says, "When I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I have put my trust. I shall not be afraid, for what can mere men do to me?" What can mere men do to you? If man can make your physical body suffer, but you trust God, what can man really do to you? In 2016, I came back to Teen Missions to lead another team. But I had to take a step of faith to lead that team because I had been asked to spend an entire year in Ecuador. And I didn't know what was ahead of me. I didn't know what to expect. And the Lord, through everything that I went through before I came and stepped onto this property, was faithful to fulfill what he said he would. Every time I felt like things weren't coming along, the Lord said, "Be patient and wait." I learned to trust him. I'm still learning today to trust him. There are so many things that I wish that I could say it's going to happen this way and it's going to happen in this time. But I have to remember to trust God, and in his timing it will happen. We suffer, we go through hardships, but then we also go through blessings. There's been a lot of hardship and a lot of change going on around here lately. But I, for one, am trusting the Lord to take us through it. Romans 8:18, all of us should know it because it's one of our summer verses. It says, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." If we can't look forward to that glory, to be able to trust the Lord, to be able to bring that glory to light in his timing, then at least trust him to be able to take you through the suffering, to know that no matter what happens, he's always there. I want to end today with reading a poem to you guys. A lot of you probably know this poem. This poem is called Footprints. One night, a man had a dream. He dreamed he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Across the sky flashed scenes of his life. For each scene, he noticed 2 sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to him and one to the Lord. When the last scene of his life flashed before him, he looked back at his footprints in the sand, and he noticed that many times along the path, there was only one set of footprints. He also noticed that when this happened, it was the lowest and hardest point of his life. This really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. He said, Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I've noticed that during most troublesome times in my life, there's only one set of footprints. He said, I don't understand why I needed you most, and you weren't there. And the Lord replied, my precious, precious child, I love you, and I would never leave you, not during your times of trial and suffering. He said, when you see only one set of footprints, that is when I carried you. Trust the Lord in all that we do. Thank you.